Rawr XD. Roar.
Rawr XD, bro.
What the fuck? Body positive Legbeard screams and gets aggressive over my hypoglycemic snacks. Body positivity is a good thing, but it can go too far. Alright, my lads and my ladies, I have two Neckbeard stories to share. One from school, another one from work. However, this Neckbeard is of the female variety today. Ooh, my! This happened a year ago during my senior year, and I will never forget it. P.S. I'm writing on my cell phone, so excuse the grammar mistakes. People involved. OP, 5'10", 20-year-old who trains every day and manages sugar. Also hypoglycemic and really into metal. Thrash for the win! I mean, I'm more into punk, but it's kind of down the same lines. Poundbeard, 238 plus pounds, always wore a jacket, and was really into body positivity. The ultimate nice girl / bitch. Kay, a good friend of mine that I hung out with, she supported me through this entire ordeal. A chill friend who took no shit, Kay's boyfriend. Various metal and geeky friends. And now the story. Before I went to this school, I went to an inner city school for all of high school until my senior year. To protect my identity, I'll explain the town lightly. It's a very small truck stop of a town with a good amount of people. There's only one high school and that's about it. My first day of my senior year was pretty chill. I got the occasional offhand look, like any out-of-towner did, and I quickly made friends with Kay, who was a native and lived there her whole life. She helped me fit in and gave me tours of the school for my first 2 classes. She explained how lunch hour worked and that students were given free rein to study or eat, which seemed alien to me. I chose to eat that day with her and her boyfriend, and that was when I met Poundbeard. She sauntered up to me with a greasy jacket and equally fry-dipped hair. The worst part was that she was overweight, which I don't have a problem with, as I have some great friends who are overweight. But dear reader, we know some things must be kept set in stone. I kid you not, she came running up in the shortest of shorts. Her muffin top hid anything that might have scarred me for life. Kay immediately looked distraught and nearly slammed her lunch down on my side of the table to make room for approaching Poundbeard. When she sat, the table shook. She began to pester Kay about her new teachers. Kay did not look very happy to see her there. It wasn't long before Poundbeard noticed that I existed.
Oh, a new friend!
She looks towards Kay with a very nasty glance.
I guess Kay's looking for a replacement, huh?
I jumped on that quickly. I had a large track record with JROTC and a number of extra activities similar to it, and I hated when people acted like this towards others, but instead I believed that my comment just angered the beast even more. No, I'm new and she's showing me around. Poundbeard seemed to scoff at that. I later told my friend Kay that I was going off to the library. She and her boyfriend followed just to escape Poundbeard. Later they told me that Poundbeard had an aggressive history of torturing her classmates, from dumping milk on Kay's head to attacking a boy who refused to go out with her. At first I thought that these were just over-exaggerations, but it wasn't, and you shall see later why. A week later, I took to eating lunch in the library. It was quiet, peaceful, and I didn't have to deal with Poundbeard's heavy breathing while I ate. This time I had brought myself some snacks, crackers and Pop-Tarts. Since I have hypoglycemia, eating these snacks was important. One day a code yellow was announced, and lunch lasted 3 full hours. What's a code yellow? Somebody peed their pants? A code yellow alert signifies no immediate danger within the building or on the campus, but a situation has arisen requiring all students and all staff to stay in classrooms. So yeah, somebody peed their pants, basically. Kay was with me, and so was A. Unfortunately, Poundbeard found her way in before the code was announced. For the first hour, I spent hanging with a fellow metalhead who invited me to play Clue. As I played, I ate a Pop-Tart. It had already been 3 hours, and I feared my sugar would drop if they kept us longer than I was expecting. When Poundbeard joined the game, I got a little peeved because she tried snatching some of my Pop-Tarts. This was without asking, and I quickly moved it away. This seemed to piss her off a bit because she was heavily breathing as she spoke.
I thought we were friends. You aren't supposed to be eating anyways.
Then she left and told the librarian, Mrs. G, who I had already made aware of my hypoglycemia before I decided to eat it all. She allowed me as long as I cleaned up my mess and didn't sell it. I'm selling Pop-Tarts, how many you want? I watched Mrs. G smile in the usual way and tell Poundbeard that I was hypoglycemic and that I was allowed to eat. This angered Poundbeard even more, especially now that she couldn't get to me that way. I explained to my friends why I had to eat, to which she said I shouldn't
rub my illnesses in other people's face,
which got her ejected from the game completely. The antics were only stepped up from there. Poundbeard would make offhand comments about me being hypoglycemic and at an okay weight, saying that I had
thin privilege to eat whatever I wanted,
or
how I was faking it all to be a fat ass.
I never approached her with these comments, ever, as then I was very patient and I just ignored them. She then began to talk shit directly about me, which led to some students getting onto me for eating. Eventually, I had to eat my quick snacks in the bathroom to prevent getting shit from other students for them. I won't be too mad, OP. Pop-Tarts taste better on the toilet. That's just science. All food tastes better when you're sitting on the toilet. Try it out sometime. That's a joke, maybe. Poundbeard's reign of terror eventually ended one lunch. She admitted that
she had a crush on some boy.
Some poor, innocent lad who was being relentlessly stalked on Facebook. She even saved his photos to make it even creepier. Kay, obviously wanting to get rid of Poundbeard, told her to go ask that boy out. Here's where I should add that the school resource officer hangs out with us during lunch. She went over to that boy, who was several tables away with his friends. We could see them exchange words, and the boy very politely turned Poundbeard down. What came next I had never seen before in my life. She grabbed the boy's tray and threw it in his face, screaming how he was a
fat, phobic, privileged asshole!
Then got even angrier when the female friends of the guy defended his honor. The officer at our table rushed over and handcuffed her. Wow. Dragging her out as she read like a pig. We didn't see Poundbeard for several days, but when we did see her again, she was of course back to making terrible comments about my hypoglycemia. Eventually I'd had enough one day and just told her to fuck off. K&A did too, and Poundbeard never talked to us again. I found her Tumblr blog from that year, and I won't share it as it could be active. However, she mentions in full detail about me
using my illnesses to rub it in her face
and
using thin privilege to eat in class.
I showed some of the people involved a year later, and we laughed our asses off. TLDR. Well, I gotta say first off that the story was just written horribly. Not the worst that I've ever encountered, but man, some paragraphs would really help me out here. However, I have to admit to myself that Legbeard stories are rare, so when I find one, I'm just like, alright, pull the trigger. And it wasn't the worst thing ever. It was relatively interesting. Particularly the part where Poundbeard is like, oh, you're rubbing your illness in people's face. The irony there is just so palpable. Because most body positivity people will be like, oh, I'm fat because it's like a genetic issue. Well, guess what? So is hypoglycemia. I'm relatively familiar with it, and you can get it from like illnesses, but there's also insulin overproduction and hormone deficiencies. There's also excessive alcohol consumption, but I don't think OP has a problem with that. So yeah, it's a genetic issue that OP is dealing with in the best way that they can, and for some reason this woman just takes an issue with it. I guess she really likes Pop-Tarts enough to harass other people and instigate other people to harass other people, which is the most wild thing about it. How does she have that sort of sway? I mean, I know she has a gravitational pull, but does that equate to clout? Wild, just wild. I'm glad you eventually got out of the situation, OP. At least the teachers understood, which is really what's important. You can't really get in trouble. It's just like peer pressure. And at the end of the day, fuck peer pressure. It doesn't mean anything. Oh no, fellow students don't think I'm cool or something. Well, guess what? In another year or two, I ain't never gonna see you fuckers ever again. So I'm gonna eat my Pop-Tart and I'm gonna love it. It's better than passing out from low blood sugar, isn't it? Fuck 'em at the end of the day. Lordy. Anyways, we'll get into the next story and we'll see how it goes. Let's roll on. I dated a Legbeard. Female neckbeard story. Pop Tarneck Pop is the user. Is he a Pop-Tart? So he probably dated the Legbeard from the last story, right? It's all coming together. It's a horrible joke, but I'm gonna leave it in. Hey, I'm sure many of you have read stories like this, but I thought I'd tell you my tale of the time that I dated a Legbeard in high school. For this story, I'll be calling the Legbeard LB, and I'll be calling myself T. This story takes place literally my freshman year of high school, specifically my second semester. At the time, I hadn't exactly been looking to get into the dating scene just yet, since, of course, it was my first year, and I doubted that any relationship would last long since I was still basically a child. That is an inordinate amount of self-reflection for a 9th grader to have, okay? Already, I think we're fudging facts, but we'll continue on. Now, I should probably give you a bit of context about me. I'm not exactly a looker, not by any means. I stood at around 5'11" and was overweight, still am today. I had long hair that went down to my shoulders due to a metal phase that I was going through, and I typically wore t-shirts with puns on them and black sweatpants, and I had a lip piercing. I know, I was an edgy kid. Whoa, so edgy. My first encounter with Legbeard was with a mutual friend that her and I had. We all met at the table during lunch on the first day back, and she introduced me to Legbeard. Now, some context for Legbeard. She was a sophomore at our high school, though she was already 17 due to being held back a full year. She stood at 5'2", but what she lacked in height, she more than made up for in width. Weighing nearly 400 pounds. Bro, seriously? How does she walk? Now I know we're fudging facts. At the time, she had shorter hair than me, surprisingly, and had acne that made her look like she had just shoved her face into a pizza. She always wore a jacket that looked like it had oil spread across the sleeves of it, and not car oil. I'm talking about oil used for deep frying. Her odor, though, was the most disgusting part about her. It smelled like roadkill mixed with freshly diced onions. And that is a terrible smell, unless you're a redneck, and then you just smells like dinner. Anyways, her and I talked, mostly due to me feeling kind of bad for her. If neither me or my friend sat there, she'd just always sit alone. I found out that she's actually a fan of a few things that I am, such as weeb shit animes and some bands. One thing that I couldn't help but feel awkward about, though, is that whenever we talked, she'd always talk as if she was like a scene kid from 2007 MySpace with the whole RAR XD bullshit. Did she say XD? IRL? She say IRL, IRL? God damn it. After about a month of knowing this girl, she somehow finds me on Facebook, which doesn't even have my actual name attached to it. I went by a nickname since so many kids in my class had the same name. This meant that she most likely just asked a friend for it. I didn't exactly think much of that at the time, so I accepted her friend request. Biggest mistake I ever made. She began messaging me not long after that, and the talking that was usually reserved for the few times that we met at the lunch table was now almost a daily occurrence. Luckily though, we usually talked in a group chat with the friend that I mentioned earlier, so conversations didn't exactly get dull. There was one conversation though that went similar to this. Friend: "Hey T, Legbeard has something to ask you." OP: "Oh, well, why doesn't she just ask me?" Friend: "She's hanging with me at the moment, and she doesn't have her phone." OP: "Okay, what does she want?" Friend: "She wanted to know if you'd like to go on a date." It took me a minute to acknowledge that what she was asking me was actually real. I mean, of course I was being nice to Legbeard, but I didn't think that our friend was thinking that we were hitting it off exactly. At the most, I thought we were just normal acquaintances. Anyways, so me being the nice and dumb guy, decided to say, "Why the fuck not?" OP: "Sure, I guess." Friend: "Great, I'll let her know." Bruh. What's up with these OPs that are like, "I'm not attracted to you at all, but I'll go on a date with you"? Stop it! Get some help. Let's fast forward to what exactly Legbeard wanted to do for a date. It was 6 o'clock, about a week later from the previous conversation, and me, not having a license due to my age, waited about 30 minutes for Legbeard to pick me up. She arrived in the 2001 Toyota Camry that was rusted beyond all hell, and it looked like it was dipping to the side that Legbeard was sitting on. Probably because it was. I opened the passenger door, and I am met by piles of fast food cups and bags covering the front and back passenger seat. That's a Beardmobile, alright.
Just scoot it over,
Legbeard says. I obliged, hesitantly, and pushed the garbage, calling it simply what it is, into the back seat. Once I'm all buckled in with my soda-stained seatbelt, she starts driving. Where are we going? I ask. We hadn't talked about just what it was we were doing for this date. I had simply thought we'd discuss it for a brief moment and then drive there. I had about $50 on me, so most restaurants were on the table.
The library has an anime night with all the free ramen you can eat. I thought we'd go there.
What? Go get library ramen, bro? I pass already. How romantic. Instead of questioning her, I just shrugged it off and said it was cool with me. Hey, now I got some free cash for some other shit. Plus, I was a fucking weeb. Might as well go weeb out. We got to the library about 20 minutes later, and we walked inside. She keeps trying to grab my hand, and I keep shrugging her off. Eventually, we get to the room, and oh my god. It's just a sea of neckbeards. The whole room smelled like Cheeto dust and gym socks. My only solace while we were there was the fact that we sat in the back where it was less up in your face. I sit there beside her and talk with her for a bit. Again, we chatted about the common interests that we had at the time, but I couldn't see that spark that tends to happen at the start of relationships. Everything's going smoothly until she hits me with a bombshell.
So, what's your thoughts on tentacle hentai?
Not positive. I nearly spat out my drink when she asked me such a question in an incredibly crowded place. Who asks these questions? Shouldn't there be some unspoken rule in conversation where fucking hentai should just not be brought up? I don't know. I don't exactly watch hentai, I said, setting down my glass.
Well, I think it's incredible. I would love to have a tentacle beast just shove its tentacles inside all of my holes until I'm gagging.
Oh, that's good cringe. God. This bitch had no shame. After that remark, I couldn't be asked to talk to this woman seriously. Legbeard was just too fucking weeby, even for my tastes. The night quickly came to a close after that, and she drove me home. We said our goodbyes, and I went inside my house and climbed into bed. Immediately, I was bombarded with texts from, you guessed it, Legbeard. The messages ranged from,
I had a good time tonight,
and,
will you be my senpai?
Followed by the infamous
Whoa!
emojis that people have been sending around recently. I didn't respond to any of the messages until I got something that would haunt my dreams. About an hour after the first storm of messages came up, I was sent an image. Originally, my phone didn't show any actual image with it, so I opened it. And my god, I truly regretted it. Legbeard had decided to send me a picture of her unwashed and lice-infested vag. Oh, god. I'm not joking. It looked like a roast beef sandwich from an Arby's dumpster turned sideways. Oh, God. Oh, and I was totally serious about the fucking lice. I could literally see fine bugs glistening in her pubes from the light of the camera. Oh, God, OP, stop. It's too much. Jesus Christ. Needless to say, I vomited and immediately stopped talking to her. I avoided her for about a year before she finally stopped messaging me. actually having to threaten to get the police involved once she turned 18. I removed her from all of my social medias and had to explain to my friend why I had blocked Legbeard. Once I told her everything, she decided to put their friendship on a permanent hiatus. Thanks for reading. Sorry it was long. Just thought I'd share some shit with y'all. Some shit indeed, dude. The story started out slow, but my god, did it pick up near the end. I just can't. Just finished up my first year at my dream college, and it was summer break in Florida.
Take him off the glass! Take him off the glass!
The unfortunate time with Gothic Horsebeard. Gothic Horsebeard. Say that again for the people in the back. Gothic Horsebeard. What the hell does that mean? I guess we'll find out. So please excuse any grammar errors. I'll try to fix them as I go. But the South Carolina education system just kinda sucks. OP. The American education system just kinda sucks. Oh, Lord. Anyways, here's our cast. OP, someone who was having a hard time and just wanted any friend that I could hold on to. Aww. Gothic Horsebeard, the gay Neckbeard, who is the main focus of today's story. Italy, she was closer to Gothic Horsebeard, but we were still good friends. And Shy Guy, he wasn't actually shy, just quiet. He never really talked, but he did interact with the group, and we are still friends to this day. So let us start from the beginning of junior year. Luckily, I didn't have too many classes with Gothic Horsebeard, but one class that we did have was about 2 hours long. We'll get into that soon. So, how I joined this group of misfits was by complete accident. My high school offered kids to join a program called Career Center. For ones who don't know what Career Center is, it's like a training school for kids still in high school where you get to learn about the field that you want to go into if the Career Center offered classes in that field, and you'd get a certification to jump into your field after high school without having to go to college first. Good deal. I joined an engineering program, and as juniors, we go to the Career Center first thing in the morning for 2 classes. I mean, that seems pretty legit, doesn't it? Why are we bashing the education system? If it works, it works. We'd stand at the bus area waiting for the bus to pick us up and take us to Career Center, and I just so happened to start talking to these people, and before I knew it, we were just kind of friends. Gothic Horsebeard, Shy Guy, and I were all in the same field. Italy was learning culinary, and she was really good at it. At this time, I didn't know what a neckbeard was, but now, watching a lot of Reddit videos on YouTube, I can say, with confidence, that he was a neckbeard, aside from a few of his more uncommon traits. Gothic Horsebeard did shower. He never smelled, and he never tried to hit on me, thank God. But do not be fooled. Gothic Horsebeard was a neckbeard from head to toe. He has a beard that would grow on his neck and never past his chin. He was overweight, absolutely, and if anyone tried to tell him otherwise, he would just say, "I'm just big boned." Where have I heard that before?
And I'm not fat, I'm big bone.
Not joking, he would show his legs and show you that his legs were not fat, but muscles. I guess he didn't understand how different bodies store fat in different places. He always wore the same black, long-sleeved My Little Pony sweater. I'm not joking, it could be 98 degrees outside. As I said in my disclaimer, I live in South Carolina, so the humidity is stupid here in the summer, and our winters don't last long, if we even get real winters. But he would wear that damn sweater every day with black fingerless gloves. He also had long hair that was thinning, and he kept it in a low ponytail, and when asked why he wouldn't cut it, he would say, "Because it was his luxurious mane." Ah, Horsebeard, and I guess the gothic part, we're getting to it as well. He thought of himself as a horse furry. I'm not joking, he was obsessed with furries. He always wore black cargo pants with metal chains and the same black and white Vans shoes. Thinking about it now, I am so glad that he was gay and had a long-distance relationship with someone because it could have been much worse otherwise. I will say, for my junior year, everything was relatively fine. We were all friends, getting along and enjoying the rest of our teenage years. The real issues came in senior year, as I was getting over a lot of my issues, and I was starting to become a better person. I will say that I did start going to church and was getting into my faith, and I don't think Gothic Horsebeard liked that. Not because I was talking about my faith, but because what was funny to me before just wasn't anymore. Yep, that's part of maturing, I suppose. We were the group of misfits that would say Holocaust jokes and not think twice about it. We always say that we hated the school and wanted to blow it up with everyone inside. Wow, super edgy, bros. I'm already glad that you pulled yourself out of this kind of bullshit, OP. Of course, we never did actually blow up the school. How many times can I say blow up the school before I get demonetized? I just went along with all this to be a part of the group, of course. That was a dumb thing to do, but it doesn't really matter anymore. At first, I didn't notice Gothic Horsebeard acting any different until I realized that he just wouldn't talk to me like he used to. And one time I even confronted him about it, and I asked him, "Why are you being so mean to me?" And he responded, "When did you start being a bitch?" That really hurt, coming from someone who was supposed to be my friend. Then I noticed that Gothic Horsebeard only wanted to talk to me when I was having a bad day and acting like my old self. But anytime I actually seemed happy or was trying to improve myself, Gothic Horsebeard didn't want to hear it or even be around me. I really noticed when I was on the bus to Career Center that he wasn't talking to me again, and soon I started not feeling okay. And when we got to Career Center, I was in a gloomy, grumpy mood, and Gothic Horsebeard was talking about something dealing with a hangman game, and I said a comeback that made him laugh, and then he was trying to talk to me again. But that comeback that I made, I didn't like it, and it felt wrong.
But you did it anyway?
Okay, but then like, why did you make it? It's just like muscle memory or something? What is going on there? Then I really started to notice his superiority complex. If I said something wrong, he always had to correct me and made me feel stupid. Don't get me wrong, if I'm wrong about something, I'll admit it. And sometimes I'll even say, I'm not sure if this is right, so don't quote me. And he just always had to butt in and tell me I was wrong. He purposely leaves me out of conversation, talks over me like I wasn't already talking to Italy or Shy Guy, and if Shy Guy Italy and I were talking about something without Gothic Horsebeard, he would always pout, put in his earbuds, and listen to his gothic music and pretend we weren't there. It's not gothic music, it's industrial. God, Mom, you don't understand anything. I remember one time Italy was talking about going to this Comic-Con with some of her girlfriends, as it was a weekend trip for them, and Gothic Horsebeard was asking if he could hang out with them if he went. Italy told him no, and that she was seeing friends that she hadn't seen in years, but it caused a fight between them that lasted for 2 weeks until the con was over, and then they were just back to being best friends again. Okay then. Of course, in those 2 weeks, Shy Guy and I were in the middle of hearing about it from Gothic Horsebeard about how Italy was a bitch not to let him hang out with her at the con, and he thought they were supposed to be friends. You can be friends and not be together at every waking moment. Of course, I'm someone who can see a point of view from both sides of the argument, but really, I was on Italy's side. I understand that she saw us every day at school, and she just wanted time to be with her old friends. I completely understand her anger with Gothic Horsebeard. I don't know if Gothic Horsebeard went to the con or not. We all just seemed to forget about it, but Italy did show me pictures of the con, and her cosplay looked really cool. I probably made this post much longer than it needed to be, but I've been holding this back for a while and just really wanted to get it out. Gothic Horsebeard and Italy are the kind of people to be on Reddit, so Gothic Horsebeard and Italy, if you are reading this or listening to this on YouTube by some random chance, just know that even though we had our problems, I still appreciate you too. You were my friends. Mostly Italy, but Gothic Horsebeard, I hope you're living your best life, dude. Yep, sounds mostly like edgy awkward teens being edgy awkward teens. Nothing to see here at the end of the day. There was a bit of cringe, but it was very light cringe. I understand where most of these characters are coming from because I was in high school at one point too, believe it or not. I did get my American education, and look at all I've done with it. I started a YouTube channel. Hooray! I definitely understand growing apart from like your high school friend groups and stuff like that. High school friends generally do not last. I had many friends in high school, and I've got about 3 of them left. So I wouldn't put too much investment in it. You know, OP is growing up and is like, well, I don't really think Holocaust jokes are that funny anymore. And I'm sure a decade down the road, Gothic Horsebeard realized that, you're right. That's a pretty shitty thing to say. And hopefully he stopped saying it. Hopefully he became like a normal person. Well, as normal as a horse furry can be. You know, no kink shame, but also no kink same. I don't get it, but you do you, bro. If it gets your rocks off, then you just enjoy yourself in the privacy of your own home and never, ever talk to me about it. So yeah, I have high hopes for everyone in this post. They're young, they'll get it together. Don't you worry about it. This is like borderline cringe, borderline neckbeard stuff. But nothing that we need to be concerned about. However, if you couldn't tell from the title, that will inevitably change as we get into our second story. Just wanted to ease you guys into it. Neckbeard tricks me into drawing inflation fetish commissions. Oh no. Good lord. This video is gonna get demonetized for sure. Holocaust, blow up the school, inflation fetish. I'm sorry, whatever bot is scanning this video. Anyways, first time posting. I've watched a lot of YouTubers share some stories, r/TimTamTom, Vinci, and ReddX to name a few, and after cleaning through my Google Drive, I was reminded of my very own Neckbeard tale. If anyone wants to read these for their YouTube channels, go right ahead, you got my permission, and also, hi. Oh hey OP, how's it going? Pajama Paladin, I like your username. I hope that you see this video. Say hi to me in the comments. Because I said hi to you in the video. Because you said hi to me in your post. Okay, anyways. If there's formatting or typo issues, I apologize. I'm typing this on my phone, but I'll do my best to avoid them. This might be a bit long, so grab yourself a snack and enjoy some secondhand cringe. The most tasty kind of all. This took place about 5 years ago. Just finished up my first year at my dream college, and it was summer break in Florida. My dad and I were just barely scraping by and lived in a retirement community for the season. The rent was crazy cheap, and while the mobile home was super dated, it had its charms. I'm an artist by trade, so to assemble some fun money and keep my hands busy during the break, I opened up commissions on my Tumblr account. Ah, see, there's your problem. I had a decent following from my work, so yeah, the commissions brought in some moderate rainy day money, like $50 to $150 a month on average. But then, he came along. Just for a bit of context, I don't mind making not safe for work commissions. I took figure drawing classes, but usually I would only agree to draw this sort of content if it met certain conditions. I drew characters just naked, and very rarely scenarios where they were actually doing the deed. Also at that time, I was way past a freshman 15. I was a chunky gal at 300 pounds. I was recently recovering from escaping a toxic household, and I had severe depression. Food was my coping mechanism, but you're not here for that story. Well, I am sorry to hear it, OP. I'm here if you need to talk. I can always offer some words of encouragement for you. I hope you are doing better now. Anyways, this is where our Neckbeard comes in, sliding, oozing into my Tumblr PMs to commission me. Let's call him Artbeard for the kicks and gigs. We already have an Artbeard. I'm gonna call him Inflationbeard. I'm sure that this guy did not really mean anything malicious by his behavior, but the way he acted in particular towards me made me extremely uncomfortable. Of course, it didn't start out that way, and at the time I was still super naive. I was raised incredibly sheltered, and so I'm a novice as far as street smarts goes. Inflationbeard commissioned me for a set of 3 bust sketches of plus-size characters, which I didn't mind. Big girls are pretty too, and their anatomy is fairly easy to draw. I was not familiar with who this character was at that time, so I didn't think much of it. 3 rough sketches later, and hey, I made 20 bucks. I thought that was the end of it. Oh boy, was I wrong. The weekend arrives, and Inflationbeard reaches out in my PMs once again. Inflationbeard,
Hey there. I really love the pieces you did for me. You're just so amazing. Thank you.
OP, hey man, no problem. Glad you like them. Inflationbeard,
Can I ask you a question?
OP, sure, what's up? Inflationbeard,
Can I commission you for another set of sketches of this character?
OP, yeah, sure, no problem. Inflationbeard,
And, could you make the character a little bigger in these sketches?
OP, you want them to be chubbier. Inflationbeard,
Yes, please.
OP, sure, I don't really have a problem with that. Just PayPal me and I'll have them for you by the end of the week. I really didn't see any problem with it. The characters were fully clothed. They were just chubby, smiling gals. No harm there. Plus, he was really happy with the work, and it was nice to have a regular customer. At the start, at least, it was innocent. That's always how it starts. Bit by bit, you gotta watch the crawl. Inflationbeard began to commission me weekly by the time July had hit. We'd become moderate friends at the time, casually chatting about life and stuff. And then his requests were getting weirder. He requested things like these characters to be wearing
Super tight clothing that was tearing with the buttons popping off.
and then he began commissioning me for full-body colored pieces. Additionally, he requested characters that I was familiar with, like Harley Quinn and Wendy from Gravity Falls, and then human versions of characters like Rarity and Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony. God, we got 2 bronies in the same episode? What are the odds? Actually, pretty high, probably, among neckbeards. I'm not as familiar with that show, but tragically familiar with that fan base. Drawing him cuddling all these gargantuan characters, getting lost in their massive breasts and bellies. All the while, he would request cuddles and hugs from me. He was getting pretty familiar with me, which, being all alone for the summer, he was someone that I saw as a friend. I confided in him that I was self-conscious about my own appearance and the like, and we had similar interests in shows. I had plenty of friends online, but this was beginning to unnerve me. He kept on calling me
Beautiful and cute.
despite never having seen a photo of me. What a weirdo. He would also mention and hint towards flirting. Luckily, the summer was drawing to a close, but Inflationbeard had one last commission for me. Is the money worth it? Is it really worth it? Inflationbeard.
Hey there again, friend.
OP. Hey there, man. What's up? Inflationbeard.
Are you busy right now?
OP. Just kind of getting things together to move back on campus. Inflationbeard.
Nice, nice. Do you have time for a commission?
OP. It depends. Time is kind of out of my hands at the moment. Inflationbeard.
If you could do a full-colored, full-body painting of Pinkie Pie as a human, naked and lying in bed with her face covered in cake and pie, with me sitting on top of her boobies feeding it to her, I'll send you a reference to your email of how I want it to look.
Oh, God.
Daddy, chill.
I got that email about a half an hour later. The images attached to it made me nauseous. There were these women absolutely bloated beyond what is anatomically possible, with either tubes full of food stuffing their cheek and spilling out of their lips, or somebody dedicated to doing exactly that for them. The gargantuan girls in question were either begging for more food or pleading that they were too full. And this is when I learned about inflation fetish porn. Now, don't get me wrong. To each their own. I do not judge what gets your rocks off, but I was personally becoming involved with Inflationbeard's sick fantasies, and I was really uncomfortable with it. And it's okay to voice that, OP. You just say, no kink shame, but no kink same. That's the mantra for my life these days. I made up some excuse that a commission that complex was going to take too much time and I couldn't do it. He tried to convince me that
he'd be fine with just a sketch.
But I reminded him that he had plenty of my sketches, that he was practically paying me $40 a week for these sketches, and that now that summer was over, all commissions were cut off. You would think that would be the end of it. I thought so too. Not when neckbeards are involved. The school year started back up, and he was still chatting with me, as friends, I'm sure. I usually just gave one-word responses, despite his continued requests for
hugs and cuddles,
and calling me
friendo.
What the hell is even that?
But then, the worst happened. Inflationbeard.
Hey again.
OP. Hey. Inflationbeard.
Can I ask you a question?
OP. I guess. Inflationbeard.
You're a plus-size girl, right?
OP. Yeah. Inflationbeard.
Can I see a picture of you?
OP. No. Why? Inflationbeard.
I was gonna use it as a reference.
OP. For what? Now, I thought this was some shady way to get a picture of me, but Inflationbeard then proceeded to explain to me that
he was planning to cosplay human Pinkie Pie for conventions.
Oh boy.
But not just any version of Pinkie Pie. Oh no! He wanted to cosplay the super inflated version of Pinkie Pie that he had commissioned me to draw for him.
He wants to go to conventions as Fat Pinkie Pie? Alright, bro, you do you, but like, is this real life? And of course, it got so much worse. He showed me pictures of his progress. The pictures that he sent was of a very lanky young nerd, and I shit you not, this wife-beater tank top stuffed to the stitches with pillows. He had stuffed a bra far beyond capacity as well. Inflationbeard.
I snuck the bra from my mom. She's pretty big as well. My dad doesn't want to help pay for a pink shirt, so I gotta take extra shifts at my job.
How much does a pink shirt cost, bro? I'll PayPal you the cost of a pink shirt. I do not want you to take extra shifts around actual human beings.
I've also been eating almost 5 meals a day now because I just want to get bigger, just like you.
God, this is so cringy. Oh, God. Seeing that image and that message, I ran out of my dorm and had to throw up in the toilet. That was just going way, way too far for me. That night, I couldn't sleep. Looking at my own body, I regularly felt gross and sick, sure, but this was different. Something snapped and I wanted to change. I did not want to be affiliated with those drawings, with those helplessly bloated girls, completely dependent on some perv giving them treats and snacks. It is a really strange and specific fetish, but this is not the first time I've seen it pop up either. The next morning, I went to the campus gym, and I did that every weekday until I graduated. Halfway along the way, Inflationbeard poked at me again.
Checking in.
When I told him that I was losing weight, he was upset. He told me,
I was beautiful when I was big.
And he gradually lost interest, thank God. Eventually I stopped hearing from him altogether. 5 years later, present day, I'm living in California. I've lost half of my body weight, and I'm now 150 pounds, still following a lifestyle of healthier food choices and exercise. I actually just recovered from a procedure because I had a lot of excess skin that I needed to remove, so it kind of worked out for me in the end. Last week, when I was cleaning out my drive, I found the pieces of big bloated gals just sitting there collecting cyber dust. I instantly deleted them, but I laughed, remembering the tale. Oh god, I'm so glad you could laugh at it, OP. It's really quite horrifying to me. He does seem sort of just socially unaware that not everybody shares his extremely niche fetish, but he's also like trying to get the OP involved, which is where the real rub comes. You know what I mean? If you're just whatever, he's paying you to make these sketches, I guess it's fine. But when he's asking OP how big she is and like encouraging her not to lose weight, that's where things go too far. You know what I mean? I'm sure this was not a fun experience for OP to have. It seems really creepy and cringy, but in the end, I guess it did work out well for OP. You know, it motivated her to get into the gym, lose some of the weight, not be one of those feed pigs. I think that's what they call them.
It was just a joke.
Talcumbeard, the neckbeard that found himself too handsome for his own good. It does happen, I guess. Hi guys, first time posting on Reddit. Hope I'm doing it fine. Looks good so far. Long time lurker, first time poster, I guess. I used to hear a lot of Reddit while working from r/Daily Dose of Reddit and ReddX. Hey! I feel kind of out of sorts when compared to those two, but I'll take it where I can get it. And I got to the realization that I've been friends with a neckbeard for a long time, so I decided to share. English is not my first language, and this will contain some sexual discussion at some point. Thanks for the trigger warning. Here's the cast. OP, 26 female, short, black-haired goth girl with big knockers that dies for roleplay, video games, and books. Grumpy Cat, 26 male, tall, slim, but strong guy with an edgy Viking vibe and the default expression of Grumpy Cat on his face, and my boyfriend at the time. And Talcumbeard, the beard of our story. He doesn't look like the average neckbeard, I guess, but he totally plays the role. As I heard a lot, it's the beard on the inside. Hey, I'm gonna put on a t-shirt! 27 male, super slim. He dresses like an 8-year-old kid. His mom still buys all his clothing and shoes. Oh, that's adorable. Long hair and a few hairs spread through his neck and chin that he considered
a well-maintained beard.
He's not a dirty person, but he always has that super weird smell that's like talcum powder and baby shampoo. He smells like a new dad just varnished his kid in soap and then coated him in talcum powder like a croquette. Mama's boy. I met Talcumbeard while playing WoW, and we got along pretty well. He was simping a bit towards a rogue in our group, but nothing weird or unusual on an MMORPG, I guess. And he seemed quite funny. Grumpy Cat knew him from some time ago, and he seemed harmless. After playing for some time, we realized that we were neighbors and decided to meet in person. Oh no. Our first meeting went well. We realized that he had some odd behaviors, like never looking someone in the eye, and doing a weird thing with his mouth that gathered dense white saliva in the corners of his mouth, so when he spoke, it stretched out like cheese on a pizza. Oh god. That boy needs to hydrate. It's so gross. We tried to meet in open spaces so the smell wasn't so invasive for us, and all went fine, at least for a while. He insisted a lot on meeting with each of us separately, and we didn't think bad of that at that time, but I quickly realized that he behaved quite different when Grumpy Cat wasn't around. He opened my doors, insisted on paying for my stuff, even though I did work and had my own money. He didn't, and he was taking all this from his mom. Oof. He called me
"Milady"
a couple of times, but I cut that out super quick. And he carried himself as if we were on a date. I made it super clear that I was going out with Grumpy Cat though, and he never tried to touch me in an improper manner. One day, we all three met at a bar, and we were eating and drinking. Suddenly he changes the subject. Talcumbeard.
You know, the reason I don't like gay people is because they can't stand my charm.
Quite a non sequitur, Talcumbeard. Grumpy Cat and I looked at each other, super confused. First, because it had nothing to do with our previous conversation. And second, because we could not believe what we just heard. OP? What? Talcumbeard?
Yeah, you see, I've got like super silky hair, and my skin is fair, and I have a small frame, so I'm just like irresistible for them.
A small frame. I don't intend to be mean, but he's literally one of the ugliest people that I've ever met in my life. It seems like nothing on his body or face is in the correct size or place. He's just grotesque. And when he smiles, he sends chills down your spine, like the actors that portray pedophiles in films. He just has that vibe. He's nothing of the sort, though, let me be clear. He just has that cringy pedophile aura. It's probably just as bad. Grumpy Cat is baffled, and I'm using all of my self-control not to snap at him or laugh. Talcumbeard,
I can see his stares. How those people look at me. I know they want me, but they're afraid to hit on me. It's just super annoying.
OP, Talcumbeard, you know I'm bisexual and I don't find you attractive at all. Talcumbeard,
You don't count. You're a girl. I got nothing against gay or bisexual girls. It's just the boys. They're the worst. Girls can watch me all they want.
Grumpy Cat, Talcumbeard, you know I'm bisexual too, right? Talcumbeard,
No, you're not.
Grumpy Cat, yes I am. Talcumbeard,
But you don't look at me like that.
Grumpy Cat, no, I don't. But I am bisexual regardless. OP, also, what you said is like super homophobic. Just because someone likes guys doesn't mean that they're into you. Talcumbeard,
But they do.
we stood up, paid, and went home, and decided not to talk to him again unless he apologized and realized what was wrong with his behavior. A couple of months later, he reached out to us and did apologize. I later discovered that his mom forced him to do so because we were his only friends, and the only reason aside from university that he actually went out. Damn, dude. Too accurate. After a while of knowing him, I realized that he had an odd obsession of talking about sex and relationships all the time. Also, he confessed that he never had a girlfriend or went beyond holding hands with someone. Oh no. But he was super proud of the day that,
He nearly got a phone number from some chick at a party.
yeah, 11 years ago. Hold on to that. It's the small victories, buddy. He often rambled about how
His woman needed to be gorgeous, with big boobs and a big booty, and slim and fair-skinned with lush long hair and green or blue eyes, and she has to play video games and love roleplay and comics and be a good cook and be quiet and also be super feminine and always listen to him and also be smart and love him unconditionally. Ah!
that's great, bro, but how about you fucking pick one and work your way up? When I asked him what he had to offer such a perfect girl, he told me,
He was faithful, and that should be enough for a woman because most men were not.
and that he was a
Good guy.
TM. When I told him that he was no George Clooney, he looked at me with teary eyes and went out for a bit. Just gotta calls him like you sees him, I guess. So as you can imagine, with a character like that, I've got quite a few small anecdotes about his weird behavior, like how he tried to hit on me and Grumpy Cat at the same time. Or the day that we were at work, at some point we worked together, and he started talking to us about
Anal explorations.
roll for anal circumference. He also tried to seduce my sister in front of my parents. Oh, and there was also the time that he tried to seduce my best friend by stripping in front of his own mother. Jesus Christ. I need to hear those stories, OP. This guy sounds like an absolute mess, and I am loving it. I just don't know what it is about World of Warcraft, man. It seems like World of Warcraft can take a normal human being and just morph them into something else. I had to quit. It wasn't worth the time investment. There's a lot of other stuff I can be doing. Making money instead of making gold. But you know, at least probably Talcumbeard has his epic flyer or something. When TBC Classic rolls around, he's gonna be rolling in bitches. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I do think it's nice that he seems confident, but I think honestly that he's overcompensating in a big way. Like, he knows he's not attractive, so he has to go on and on about how attractive he is to try and make himself feel better, which is why it cut him so deep when OP pointed out, like, look, dude, you don't look as good as you think you look. He does take care of himself physically, you know. He takes showers, or at least covers himself in talcum powder enough that he doesn't smell bad. So that's a small step. But outside of, you know, physical maintenance, you also need to do the mental health part. And sitting there playing WoW for like 8 to 12 hours a day is no good for your mental health. Take it from somebody who has been there before. Just fucking nip it in the bud, cut it out. It's not worth it. I've met some very cool people in WoW. I still raid occasionally on a private server, maybe like once or twice a month, if that. But we hang out in Discord, you know, I like those boys. I just can't know life it like I used to. I got a wife and kids and a YouTube channel and all this other stuff going on. And I would definitely pick that over being High Warlord or whatever that PvP rank is in WoW that people grind for weeks for. So yeah, I'd like to say that he'll get it figured out. I mean, he's 27, which is slightly past the point of getting it figured out, but everybody's on a different timeline, you know. I'll try not to judge him too harshly. Maybe he'll hit 30 and be like, holy shit, I really need to get it together. That age was 25 for me, by the way. Some people got it figured out at fucking 15, but you know, different strokes for different folks. Anyways, that's far too much rambling, I'm sure. We will jump into the next story and wrap this video right up so we can look forward to Valentine's compilation uploads all week long. Let me know if you're excited for that in the comments. I hope you are. I hope this is the right move. It's hours and hours of content. Like, how can it be a bad thing? Anyways, we shall see. How I ended up dating a neckbeard. Oh, dating a neckbeard. Tisk tisk. We live and we learn, don't we? Hello again. If you haven't read the first post I posted, that's perfectly fine, as it was more a prequel to the story that I'm about to tell you. All you really need to know from that story was that I met my ex my freshman year in high school, and from our first encounter, there was something off, as he tried to touch my breasts, and when I showed discomfort, he said,
It was just a joke.
Now, I need to add a trigger warning, because there are themes of sexual assault and general emotional abuse in this story, so please scroll on if you get triggered by these themes. I also have to admit that while I also did horrible things in this relationship, that does not excuse the behaviors of my ex. Anyway, without further ado, here's our cast. OP, yours truly, a white woman with short black hair. While I exclusively wore nothing but sweatpants and sweatshirts with a beanie, boys in my program constantly talked about how
I was one of the very few white girls with an ass.
I'm also short and physically weak. Neckbeard, my ex, he was taller than me, but not super tall. He was also a little chubby, but nowhere near being super overweight. He had no beard, but he did have a patchy mustache that he never shaved. He also wore almost exclusively sweatpants, with the occasional pair of Salinger jeans. The jeans were like the awful texture patches on the front. Well, he didn't smell like BO. He did have this like bizarre, musty sort of smell. He was black, but that won't be important until later in the story. DM, he was the dungeon master of our party. He is tall, and while he shaved, when he didn't, he had a whole beard. A whole full beard. He was extremely skinny, and while he had his moments, he was extremely caring. Star Wars. He was/is Neckbeard's best friend, and we were friends until recently. He was also extremely tall. He was always well shaven, and was really energetic and fun to be around. He was also extremely caring. Hamilton. She was one of my best friends, and we still talk occasionally. She has short brown hair, and honestly one of the sweetest people you could meet. Avatar. She was my best friend, but we had a messy falling out the last 2 months of high school due to her boyfriend at the time. Quite a cast list. Let's see how many I can remember. There are more people in our group, but they aren't important story-wise. So, let us flash back to that one Valentine's Day. Ooh, topical. Avatar, Hamilton, and I did not have dates for the prom, as none of us had boyfriends, nor did we really like anyone. So my tomboy self decided that I was going to rent a suit and take them to prom since we were going to go as a group anyways. Avatar and Hamilton loved that idea, and we're really excited about it, so we decided that we were going to go to the mall and some shops around town so they could choose which dress that they wanted. As a side note, I actually got a concussion from one of these shops because one of the plus-size, full-length ball gown dress racks fell on me, even though no one was looking at the rack. They renamed me in the group chat as Shop Till You Drop. That sounds like a lawsuit waiting to happen, OP. What's going on there? Anyways, eventually my friends found dresses that they liked, and all that was left was to go get a suit. And then we were on. And that's when Neckbeard stepped into the picture. He had a girlfriend at the time, but
Was unhappy with the relationship.
as he would complain during our D&D campaign. While this was fine because everyone in the party was friends, the main complaint that he stated, which should have been a huge red flag, was that
He wasn't getting laid.
what a pissant, dude. Don't sit there and complain about your girlfriend to all your friends. Grow a dick and fucking break up with her. What's wrong with you? Neckbeard,
We've been dating for almost a year and all I've gotten was a hand job, and she didn't even finish me off.
not his exact words, but that was the gist of the complaint. After he would complain, we would just continue with the campaign. While we were in class, Neckbeard and I would talk about anime and music since we sat next to each other. He would talk about the rap that he listened to and would ask me what I listened to. OP, I don't really like rap that much, but I do like classic rock and alternative. My favorite band is Panic at the Disco. Neckbeard,
Oh, you listen to that depressing shit. What about anime? What's your favorite?
I must interject again and say that rap is extremely depressing from a socioeconomic standpoint. OP, favorite anime. I really love One Piece. It's long, but it's funny, and it has arcs, so the plot doesn't get boring. Neckbeard,
I see. Are you caught up on Attack on Titan?
OP, no, I kinda lost interest. We continued to talk about anime, but this is the part of the conversation that is important for later stories. Later, when we weren't doing anything in class, he asked me,
If I wanted to play a game where you listen to an anime opening theme and you guess what anime it's from.
I beat him at this game, and he got upset and kept challenging me throughout lunch, and when I got one wrong that he knew, he tried to rub it in my face. After this encounter, we would talk kinda often because we still sat near each other. Red flags everywhere, OP. Everywhere. A week later, Neckbeard talked to Dungeon Master about our regular conversations. Again, Neckbeard still had a girlfriend. Neckbeard asked Dungeon Master
If I ever mentioned anything to him about liking Neckbeard.
Dungeon Master obviously said no, and so Neckbeard begged Dungeon Master to ask Hamilton. Hamilton asked me if I liked Neckbeard, and I answered honestly, no. Neckbeard wasn't convinced, and broke up with his girlfriend, which he should have done in the first place. The situation blew up in our friend group, and everyone was waiting to see what would happen. Oh, it's like a sitcom, but fucking creepy and horrible. Star Wars eventually asked me
If I like Neckbeard.
and I responded, not really, but I guess we'd be a good couple. Big mistake. Yeah, I don't know why you'd phrase it like that. That's horrible. We'd be a good couple? I can't help you, OP, if you're not gonna help yourself. Jesus. Anyhow, nothing happens for a while, and Valentine's Day came up, and Hamilton, Avatar, and I decided to dress up. I wore a short burgundy skirt with a tight backless t-shirt, and in order to prevent getting dress coded, I had to wear tights under the skirt, which ended up calling more attention to my butt. Dungeon Master even made a comment to the boys in the group that
He liked my butt and would want to smash.
oh, he's just a giant group of creeps. This was the day that marked me for Neckbeard. He was convinced that I was crushing on him and that my body was
Something he wanted.
ugh, fucking cringe. The next day was a Friday, and we had a prep rally at the end of the day. Is it pep rally? I always thought it's pep rally. During lunch, the guys in my group were acting weird. They grouped up away from the table that we normally sat at. Avatar and Hamilton asked me what was going on, and I had no clue. So I walked over to the boys, and then they all just stared at me while shushing each other. I thought that was strange until on the way back to class, Star Wars walked up to me. Star Wars,
Hey, OP. How you doing?
OP. Doing fine, I guess. Just very tired and not looking forward to working tonight. Star Wars.
Aw, that sucks. I hope you can rest afterwards.
OP. Yeah. As soon as I hit the pillow tonight, it is over. I started to chuckle at my awful joke, but Star Wars wasn't bothered. Star Wars.
Hey, can I ask a personal question?
OP. Sure. What's up? Star Wars.
Neckbeard's mom is going on a business trip this weekend. Would you want to go to his and, fool around?
OP. I'm on my period, so no. But we can hang out if he wants. God. Face palm, fucking head desk. What is this? This was not the correct response. Duh. And I hate that I was so naive to even say that. Star Wars.
Okay.
He runs off happily and goes back to the boys to tell them what I said. The conversation at lunch became abundantly clear after this exchange, but I laughed it off as, boys will be boys. Why does so much shitty behavior get written off as boys will be boys, bro? Come on, accountability. While I was walking to the prep rally, Neckbeard walked up to me. Neckbeard.
Hey, can we talk?
OP. Yeah. Neckbeard.
So, I heard you have a crush on me?
OP. I don't. He laughed and continued to follow me. Neckbeard.
That's not what you said to Star Wars.
OP. Yeah, it is. I told him that I didn't have a crush on you, but I thought we would be a good couple. I realize now that this was something that could be extremely misunderstood. I don't understand how you would take it any other way except... Lord. Neckbeard.
So, anyways, would you like to go on a date this weekend?
OP. Yeah, I'm down. I have to work tonight and Saturday morning. Neckbeard.
I have to work Saturday night, so Sunday it is.
OP. Yeah, that works. I don't have a crush on you, but let's go on a date. Bro. I'm losing all hope at this point. The rest of the prep rally went on, and at the end I got on the bus and went home. Now, there are some important things to note. I had really bad self-esteem, and while I didn't really like him like that, I thought that since we were friends, it really wouldn't be that big of a deal and that I could trust him. I thought that I could learn to like him and at least have some fun my last few months of high school. Plus, it would be so nice to have someone call me pretty since I didn't feel pretty. Stupid reasons, I know, but I was just a stupid kid. Yeah, hindsight's 20/20, I guess. I get you in some sort of way, OP. Fast forward to the first date. During the weekend, we decided that we were going to go to lunch and then play some video games, since he had the new Kingdom Hearts game at the time and wanted to show it to me since I had barely played the original on the PS2. I got ready and waited for him to pick me up since I didn't have a license yet. When he got to my house, he drove to the wrong house and had to walk around so that I could find him. When I finally did find him, I showed him to the right place so that he would know where to drop me off since I didn't know what time I would be back, and I really don't like walking around my neighborhood at night. Neckbeard.
Thanks for finding me. I was starting to get scared walking around.
OP. What do you mean? Neckbeard.
This is a white neighborhood, and I was scared of getting the police called on me.
I live in low-income houses, so there are so many different cultures and races living together. So I was kind of bothered that he even said that to me because he immediately started projecting stereotypes onto me and was genuinely surprised when I told him that I was barely above the poverty line. This was 10 minutes into the date, and he admitted to me that
he thought I was rich because I was white.
Oh yeah, but it's a good stereotype, right? I get into his car and we go out to lunch. When we got to the restaurant, he told me
to not touch the door,
and he opened it for me. I thought it was strange, in a cute way, like he was trying to impress me. At lunch, I basically told him everything he needs to know about me before deciding if he really wanted to get into a relationship with me. I had very bad depression, which causes me to act irrationally and do some self-destructive things. I also was assaulted by a guy who was friends with DM in Hamilton. The DM in Hamilton had to cut off because of this. He listens to me talk about these things and says,
it doesn't bother him that I had trauma,
and that
he still liked me.
I didn't want help, I just wanted to warn him since this will affect our relationship if we choose to pursue one, and I don't want to unload something on him in case he can't handle it emotionally. You honestly think this guy is equipped to handle emotions just because he says that he is? Because I don't. We continued the date, and when the server asked, 1 check or 2, I said 2, and he immediately corrected me to say,
Just 1.
That's fine, I don't mind people paying for me, I just don't like acting like I'm entitled to a free meal because of a date. If he wants to pay, he can. After he pays, we go to leave the restaurant, and I open the door for him to walk through, and he yelled at me,
To get my hands off the door!
Jesus Christ. And then he grabbed the door and held it open for me. This started to annoy me because it was so much more work that was just completely unnecessary, and it felt condescending even though that probably wasn't his intention. I told him that I didn't like that, and he said,
That's because I'm not used to a real gentleman.
God. This made me roll my eyes, but I still agreed to continue to go to his house and play games. Jesus. OP, come on. When we got to his house, he led me up to his bedroom, and so I sat on his bed while he went to the bathroom. When he got back, he set up his PS4 and started to play Kingdom Hearts. He played for a little while, and then gave me the controller so I could play. Once I got bored, since I don't really like playing games from the middle instead of the beginning, he took the controller back and played a little more. After he was done, he asked me
If I've seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
And he immediately put it on. I fell asleep after watching the first episode, and when I woke up, he started to make out with me. Did you wake up because he started to make out with you? Because that is fucking disgusting. We made out for a bit until he tried to take my clothes off, and I told him that I was on my period, again. He already knew this because Star Wars had told him, so he settled for grabbing my boobs and ass. We continued for a bit, so he instead took my shirt and bra off. This was fine, then he started to touch me somewhere else, and I had to remind him again that I was on my period. He then took his pants off and told me
To suck it.
After a bit of that, he asked me again if we could have sex, and I told him that I was on my period.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
For the 3rd time in less than an hour. He didn't care and was going to continue to ask, and then he got up and grabbed a towel. Jesus. This is where things went downhill quick. I was pretty sure we were there already, OP. I got tired of him asking, and it's not like I didn't want to at some point, so I gave in. Ugh. After a bit, he grabbed my throat and choked me. OP, stop, that hurts. Neckbeard,
I thought you girls like this.
OP, I don't, so stop. Neckbeard,
I really like this though.
Jesus Christ. I tried to pull his hand off of me and he doesn't budge. And then he finishes, and he gets off me. While I'm trying to breathe, he gets out his phone and proceeds to blast, I just had sex, and it felt so good. The fact that this man likes Lonely Island unironically is probably the biggest red flag of all. I was severely uncomfortable, but he continued to play the whole song and sing it at the top of his lungs. After that, he gets back into the bed as I quickly run to the bathroom and take a long shower. Extremely long shower. I just want to rub the filth off. At least he had the decency to not follow me into the shower and only knock to give me a fresh towel. I got dressed and got back into the room, and he states,
I guess we're official.
He tells his friends everything that happened, and I notice a picture of me on his phone. That's when I realized that he took a picture of me when I was asleep and had sent it to his friends. I looked closer, and the caption made it all the worse.
She's out, boys.
Like me sleeping was a fucking trophy. I asked to go home, and he drove me back. Thank you guys for reading, and if you want more stories, I have many more. I even have some more lighthearted ones. Sorry if this was difficult to read. I haven't posted much, so I had a difficult time formatting this. See y'all next time. Jesus, the cringe meters were just off the chart for everybody involved in this story. I mean, the Neckbeard, he's bad. I hate the Neckbeard outright. But OP, come on. I'm cheering for you. I'm like, oh, this time she's gonna make the right decision. She's gonna cut him off. Never happens. She's just like, I don't know. I made up some excuse and just went along with it. Bruh, I didn't really want to go on the date, but I did. I didn't really want to go to his house and play video games, but I did. I didn't really want to take off my pants and fuck him while I'm on my period, but I did. It's like, bro, you had so many chances to like pump the brakes on this, but it was just like enabling every step of the way. God, I hate to hear it. Like, obviously the Neckbeard is a piece of trash, you know, not taking no for an answer, fucking hounding this woman until she's finally like, okay, whatever, have some bloody vagina. And not in the way that British people would say it. And then the fact that he's fucking choking her and she's like, don't choke me. And he's like, yeah, but I like it, so I'm just gonna keep doing it. Bruh, this guy's gonna end up in fucking prison. Mark my words, I see that coming from a mile away. You definitely aren't just a trophy, OP, and you don't deserve to be treated like this at all. And I hope that at some point in the future you find like a bit more self-respect and are able to stand up for yourself and be like, bro, this date sucks. Stop holding the fucking door open for me and let me go home. If I want to pay, let me pay for my own shit, you know? Like, you don't have to come off so abrasive, but sometimes that's what it takes with these beardos, man. You got to push back hard. And the fact that you weren't pushing back is really what they take advantage of. It definitely wasn't the worst beard story that I've heard, but man, it's pretty cringe, I'm gonna say that. And not in like the funny haha way. Shit got really dark. But I thank you guys for venturing through the darkness with me. I hope that you'll like, comment, and or subscribe if you did enjoy the video. Check out the links in the description. Some of those were not on the splash card at the beginning of the video, including my wife's channel. I think I mentioned it once, but I'm gonna mention it again. You guys should totally go over there and subscribe. Kinda get yourself a little bit of eye bleach after what we've experienced here. And if you have already subscribed, thank you so very much. Additionally, you see some names on the screen right now. Those are my wonderful, amazing, gorgeous, beautiful, generous patrons, and I would like to thank them all. But specifically, Lady Nix, Robert Waits, Pope Squid, Rebecca H, Cider Drinker, Tato Ferret, The Last Shinobi, Mark 211, Michael Undead, Aaron W, Mitch, John Hero, Josh K, and Candy Sora. I definitely appreciate you guys helping me to live the dream. God, it means so much. I'm out here living my best life, and it's all thanks to all y'all. Also, if you can support, anybody else wants to throw some money my way, that is massively appreciated. We got plenty of good reward tiers for you. But if you can't at the moment, then don't sweat it too hard. I just appreciate you coming on through and hanging out with me today. And I hope you come back and hang out with me again tomorrow. In order to do so, you will need to keep yourself safe out there, wear your mask, wash your hands, do the thing. You know how it's supposed to go. But also take some time out to do something that you personally enjoy today. Something like watching maybe even another ReddX video. Because always remember, you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I'll see you in the next one, friends. And until then, bye-bye.